ESEE Rat Pack podcast. I'm your host today, Shane Adams. Just flying solo, just me today. But I had traveled over the mountain on the motorcycle, awesome ride this morning, to come meet with Jason Sawyer. Jason, welcome.
Well, hello there.
Good to have you. Jason, he can be found on Jason Lee Survival. On YouTube is On3. That's ONTHREE.
Mm-hmm.
He's on Facebook. And also, you're on television.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah, you're kind of a big deal. I was like, I was flipping through the channel the other day, watching our Naked and Afraid marathon that was going on, and there was another show that happened to pop there in between.
Yep.
What was it called?
I've been on 2 shows. One was called Alone the Beast.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on the History Channel.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
And that was just, you got one animal. You're in the swamp somewhere.
Yeah, we were given a big dead alligator.
Yes.
And nothing else.
And no tools too.
0.
So no knife.
No tarps, no cups, no tools, nothing. Yeah.
And what was the other show?
Called to the Wild on National Geographic.
Okay. So I had never seen that Alone the Beast, and pretty interesting premise. You get all the food you want, no way to process it.
Yeah, if you consider an alligator a good food source, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, you guys where were y'all filming that?
Southern Louisiana.
It looked pretty swampy.
It was rough, man. Yeah, we were on the only high patch of ground, which when I say high patch, it's like 2 inches above sea level.
Not underwater.
Yeah, I mean, it's just barely above water.
So, Jason, you and I met at Campfire Co-op.
Yep.
Whenever we were hanging out.
George Bushcraft,
Campfire Co-op, all those people. And you and I hit it off almost immediately because I had seen that you rode motorcycles and you had just been on. I was like, holy cow! I just saw that guy on a Baja trip.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your Baja trip.
Yeah, so we did roughly 1,200 miles of almost strictly off-road riding in Baja, Mexico, Baja Peninsula, and Baja. If you've never been there, it's like the Wild West.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just desolate desert, uncharted. Maybe not uncharted, but undeveloped for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just pick any direction you want, north, south, east, or west, and just take off through the desert. That just do whatever you want.
Good decisions or bad decisions.
That's it, man. But which is awesome. The downside of that is if you have a problem, a real problem, you're on your own. Yeah. So you gotta be, first of all, try to avoid the problems and be prepared as much as possible. But you gotta be ready to deal with the problems.
Inevitably, though, on a trip like that, you're gonna bump into something that where you're gonna have to fix or solve.
Oh man, yeah, we had tons. Like that's my favorite part of the trips, by the way. That's my favorite part of adventure. Do you want to shut that?
No, that's good.
Okay. My favorite part of adventure is the problems, like getting stuck in the mud, the breakdowns, the that kind of stuff. Dealing with that, problem solving. That's why I do it.
Being adaptable and the adventure oftentimes really starts when the problems start.
Well, it's just a trip before that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an adventure till something goes wrong.
Yeah, and some of the most epic trips I've been on were also at the times when you were doing them absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
But you look at it later and you laugh about it and joke about it.
Yeah.
But secretly you hope to never do it.
Yeah, I call it tattoo fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun during at all.
No.
Like everybody hates it during.
It's a grind.
But afterwards, you're like, hey, you remember that time? That's when the good stories come from.
There used to be or there still is, back in a former life, I used to own a bike shop, and before that, before I owned a bike shop, I used to ride bikes a lot, and then it's kind of like the cobbler's kids and shoes and stuff. Bought a bike shop and quit riding, but at certain points, I tried to get back into shape, and there's a race that's local to me in Dalton called the Snake Creek Gap Challenge, and a couple different times during my process there, if you do all 3 races, you get a belt buckle, and they're hard races. They're January, February, March. Hard races, hard time of the year. Technical, it could be freezing, snowing. It could be hot. It could be 38 degrees and raining. And it would, normally within all 3 races, you would get like just massive swings. And I remember was like I made the decision. I was like, I'm gonna get in shape or some semblance of shape, and do that this year. And then I got my belt buckle, and like every race, I was like, this is so dumb.
This is
never
stupid.
doing this again. And
Only an idiot would sign up for this.
Yeah, and then you know, a month later, the next race is like, oh, I'll do this when I'm gonna get this belt buckle.
Yeah.
And then after you get the belt buckle, you're like, this is dumb. This will be the first and last belt. I'm done with this. And then, you know, a couple months later, you're like, it's not so bad.
It's not.
I might try.
Isn't it funny how that works?
Yeah, I might think about it again.
It's like women in childbirth. It's like the most miserable thing ever.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't want to have another one?
So we jumped right into some of your adventures, but let's get into some of your background. Like, what's your background experience? I know I see what you do in all these places, and I see that you have skill, which we're big proponents of.
Sure.
What's your background?
So I have been an outdoorsman my entire life, just hunting and fishing and camping and exploring and all that stuff since before I could remember. So it's always just been a passion of mine, and survival skills was something that just goes along with it. But professionally, I was a strength coach, actually. I did that. I was a strength conditioning coach for Division I athletics for a long time, and I was a human performance specialist for Naval Special Warfare in San Diego and Coronado. So I trained Navy SEALs and got them fitter, faster, stronger. I allowed them to have longer careers so they wouldn't injure themselves as much, which is a difficult thing to do. But yeah, I did that for a lot of years, and I've kind of relatively recently started doing, you know, YouTube videos, product promotions for survival companies, things like that. And I try to always intertwine the physical fitness aspect of it because it's such a huge deal that I think is oftentimes overlooked, not because of its lack of importance, but because of its lack of, it's not very fun. Yeah.
So you don't know this, but I'm about to like show my cards on the table here. I brought you here, or I didn't bring you here. I came to you.
You came to me. That's right.
I came to you off some motorcycle ride this morning. I came to you because I want you to get all the nasty grams and nasty emails for the topic that you just segued so nicely into. So, look Jason up. He's Jason Lee Survival on Instagram, YouTube on 3. Leave all the nasty grams for him because
send it.
I've just absolutely walked him into a bear trap. So we're a company that really we're Mikey from LT Wright said it best. He coined the phrase where he said, we're a training company with a knife problem. Mm-hmm. We place really top value on skill.
Yeah. Me too. And gear is so far down the list. Yeah.
So we're overly reliant on gear. Mm-hmm. We're gear collectors. We're gear hoarders. And we get wrapped up. It's like the next shiny pretty thing. I wrote an article for a magazine last year sometime that always, Murphy always visits us. He catches us with our pants down. It's mm-hmm. never when we're fully ready for Murphy to visit.
Right.
And so if you're not that person, that if you go into your backyard to practice your survival skills and you carry your 50-pound backpack full of accoutrement, that's not how things happen in the real world.
Yeah.
Murphy catches us with our pants down when we're not ready.
Yeah.
And so I think Boris Kahansky says knowledge is weightless or something along those lines.
Yeah.
The more you know, the less you carry.
Exactly.
But something that I hear very, very few people talk about is the importance of physical fitness in, we're going to say survival because that's kind of what we talk about, but at the same time, just everyday life.
Just life, man.
So
yeah. As
a former strength coach and a guy that has done with your background, what are your thoughts on that?
I'd say it's probably, if not one of, it's the most underrated aspect of people's training and preparations, right? I have a lot of buddies, I've got a lot of friends, I work with a lot of people that are preparedness-minded individuals, whether you call them preppers, or you call them survivalists, or you call them whatever you want, whatever.
I don't know what the in vogue term is.
Whatever. Whoever they are. Preparedness-minded individuals is what I'm going to go with for now. A lot of those people, they love buying the gear. They love hearing about what the latest and greatest ESEE knife is, and it's made out of this fancy steel and
no, not us.
Whatever, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's got all the
1095,
yeah,
S35.
it's got all these things, and people put a lot of reliance upon that, but it comes down to, in my opinion, it comes down to your mental fortitude, how tough you are physically, or not physically, but mentally, what you can handle. The disasters that get thrown at you, how you can physically or mentally cope with those. And then right after that is how you can physically cope with those things. And if you're not physically fit, you are a liability and not an asset to the people around you. And nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants to be... A good buddy of mine put it this way the other day. He said, if there was ever a person in your life that you've known, and when they showed up, no matter what was going wrong, could you be the guy that shows up and everybody just goes, whew, finally. Yeah, man, Jim showed up and like life is good. Like we're gonna be okay. And I internally I looked at myself and I thought, man, am I that? Am I the guy? Am I the Jim that shows up and everybody's like, whew, finally, Jason showed up and everything's gonna be okay. And I don't know if I am. And I want to be. I aspire to be that guy, and I think I am in some situations, but maybe not all situations. So, and I think, but with that comes the way that you carry yourself, right? The way that you, just the way you present yourselves to others, it gives them that peace of mind. So, and being physically fit, I think, is at the top of that list.
Well, we've talked about a tremendous amount. We always talk about positive mental attitude. We talk about but if you are testing yourself physically, then you're also testing yourself mentally. If you can learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, keep your head about you and not, fly off the handle, freak out.
Yeah.
We've seen, I've witnessed people melt down.
Yeah.
But then I've also seen the guys that are cool under pressure. And you talk about your friend unit, about whether or not you're that guy, and I've mentioned this before, but I think one of my goals, I have failed in life so many times and so many things, but failure is, to me, truly a great learning opportunity.
Sure.
But one of the things that I think has been a real positive attribute for me is A, how I look at failure, and then B, who I choose to fail around, or who's in my circle. And I have always kind of had a life philosophy as being the weakest link in the chain.
Yeah,
and,
I like that.
And if I'm the weakest link, I have the most incentive to be better. Because if I'm the weakest link, then I don't want to be the weakest link.
Right. You're always aspiring to be a little bit better. Yeah.
It's going to push me to be better. I'm going to be around people I'm going to have the opportunity more to learn from people that are better than me. But then also, it's a pretty strong chain. If I'm the weakest link, I know the strength of the chain.
Yeah.
I'm incentivized to be better, but I'm around some really good people. So failure then becomes, I think, less catastrophic because I've got people around me as a safety net there.
Yeah.
And people that can help steer me mentally.
Yeah.
When you get slapped in the face and you take an L on something, then there's people around that's going to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, you learned from here, now go do this.
Yeah, I've almost always been the youngest guy in my groups. I've always hung out with the older guys.
I can't relate to that.
Yeah, almost always. Very rarely have I been the most mature one in the group as far as age. I'm never the most mature one in the group as far as
Well, it does
mentality.
Yeah, the more dudes you put in a room, then the lower the IQ gets. That's
for sure. But yeah, I've always hung out with older guys because I always just want to learn more and be more like those mentors in my life. And I think that's done a lot for me.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And kind of circling back to this mental, physical health I think like you, and it's going to get in some people's kitchen, as it should, including my own. I've packed on about 15 extra pounds during COVID that I'm trying to shed pretty hard. So I'm down 10, and I'm getting back, to where I'd like to have a fighting weight to be. I think many of our listeners and many folks in our market that we see, all too often, they don't really challenge themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't prove
Comfort zones, right?
They don't prove their skill.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it a lot when, like in our field survival class, when we start adding a little stress to people, whether that be we can't crash you in a plane, so we're going to stress you physically, and we see a lot of people that are I think most people quit at 40%.
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea of we're motorcycle guys, so the whole 100% goggle, people aren't even getting close to 100%.
Yeah.
Before they start looking for the exit.
Most people don't even know what that feels like.
No.
And I'm not saying I'm different. I mean, I don't think I've ever hit 100% either. I've gotten close. Yeah.
I can think of I have a back, years ago I used to do a lot of endurance races and stuff, and maybe not 100%, but I turned pretty inside out, projectile vomiting, can't hardly stand up. I've seen the dark side of myself on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that's good for us to experience.
Yeah.
And I think comfort zone is a killer.
It sure is. Yeah. I think I think one of the easiest ways to get out of your comfort zone is by introducing that physical torture. And it makes you realize what you actually are capable of, and on the other side of that, it makes you realize what you're not capable of, which can be equally as beneficial.
More so, I think.
Yes, because then in a whatever zombie apocalypse survival situation you want to envision, can I make it to the top of that mountain without throwing up on my boots? Maybe not. Okay, so I know that I can't do that, so maybe I need to figure out a different alternative solution to that problem.
Or I throw up in my boots and I just
keep going. That's it. Yeah.
Throw up on your boots.
That's right. Yeah.
So I think part of that is you have to have a willingness to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up as a cyclist before Lance Armstrong and Greg LeMond and all those guys, and so being a cyclist in North Georgia in the 80s, wearing I know everybody hates cyclists, I get it, I hate them too. I cut my teeth riding out on county roads at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
But cycling is a way. Cycling introduced me to kind of a pain quotient that previously I hadn't really been exposed to.
Yeah.
And then you start getting into competition, and what I learned is there were a lot of people out there that were faster than me and better than me, but I had a willingness to hurt.
Not willing to hurt.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And so if I knew you were suffering,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hurt. I'm gonna hurt as long as I know you're hurting. I'm okay with hurting.
Yeah.
And so that was I guess that was a bit of an early petri dish for me, just to kind of experience that.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of athletes that were very talented, very gifted, but unwilling to endure the pain that takes to get to the next level.
Low work ethic.
Because when you get to an elite level, everybody's talented.
Yeah.
Everybody's good. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. Whether that's special operations, whether that's athletics, everybody's good at that elite level. The difference is how much you're willing to endure the pain.
The work ethic.
and put in the time, put in the work.
Right,
that separates you.
I'll take a hard worker over a naturally gifted person.
For sure.
I mean, that person has to have some, obviously. But when you start combining someone who is physically gifted
mm-hmm.
and also has the added benefit of work ethic, then
positive mental outlook on things,
then you start getting into machines.
Yeah.
And
the freaks of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm just curious, what are some relevant experiences that you have that kind of, I know the Baja trip, you guys had a couple little quirks that popped up, some things that you had to.
Yeah. You know what? All in all, the Baja trip went pretty smooth. we didn't have any catastrophic failures, whether that be physically or mechanically, that stranded us for long periods of time.
Right.
Everything went. We had a lot of breakdowns. So we had flat tires. We had.
I know somebody lost a jacket.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, a guy had his raincoat strapped to the back of the bike, and it sucked it into the chain and locked it up. I mean, I've never seen a locked up.
I remember seeing the Instagram post from that. I was like, "Ooh, that's sporty. That's gonna be good."
It was bad. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't spin the wheel at all. It was locked down, and so we had to with a multi.
Did it get all the way into the counter sprocket up front?
Oh, it was.
Gnar.
Yeah, I mean, it was everything. Yeah, we had to. We couldn't even take the back wheel off. That was our first idea, was to bang out the axle and get the rear wheel off, but you couldn't. It's just too bound up.
Wow.
So we ended up taking a multi-tool and just cutting and pulling and cutting and pulling and cutting and pulling. It took easily a couple hours to get that jacket out. And then he had half of a jacket that he could wear later. Yeah, we had flat tires. We were running mooses. So down there they recommend moose tubes.
Yeah.
So they're basically foam inserts
Yeah.
that are flat proof, kind of. But we still had problems because they don't handle heat well. You put them up on the highway and then they start generating heat and they melt down. We had one guy's, his rear moose melted, just turned into glue. Yeah, it was nasty. It had glued itself to the rim and stuff. So we had to pull that out, and we ended up putting a 16-inch car inner tube inside of an 18-inch rear moto wheel, and it worked. And it worked the whole rest of the trip. Was it 600 miles? I think we rode on that.
So when that thing congealed, basically, did it throw the tire out of balance too?
Yeah, it was just all, and the bead on the tire came unseated, so it was just this like.
You got rim spinning inside.
Yeah, it was just not good. Yeah, just all bad news. Yeah.
No bueno. I think at some point you and I need to do a video on. I asked for suggestions the other day. Somebody's like, "You need to do a video on motorcycles and motorcycle and go over our load up." We have vastly different motorcycles.
Yeah.
I have a BMW GS and you have a
broad end of the spectrum. I have a KTM 350 EXCF.
Yeah, it's light and fast.
It's a dirt bike.
And mine's my nickname for mine is Ilberto because it's loaded down and it just hauls the mail. It's a little bit of a handful off road. But I spend most of my time on road, but it's fine on gravel.
Yeah.
You just have to know that you're driving a pig.
Yeah.
But that's a future video idea there that I've got people asking about.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
So what's your background in motorcycles? How long have you been riding?
Forever. I started on a little Honda 50 when I was a kid. Upgraded to was it a KX80, which was terrifying, by the way. Two-stroke 80.
Back in the day,
and it weighed about 80 pounds.
Yeah, when the two strokes had the power band, it was a bit Jekyll and Hyde.
It was terrifying. That thing was out of control. I got hurt a lot on that one. And then I upgraded to some 125s, and then I got into dual sport riding. Back when I was like maybe 18 or something like that, I had my first dual sport, which was a KLR 250.
Yeah.
Loved it. It was awesome.
I had a DRZ 400 dual sport.
Perfect bike. Yeah, those are really great. Like tanks, just keep chugging along.
So
Low maintenance.
we're both located in North Georgia. I'm in Dalton and you're in Workington, and man, between what we have here, between North Georgia, Western North Carolina, Tennessee, I mean, we've got the SM 500 that's close by.
I've done that. Yeah.
We've got the TAT, which is
I've done the first 25% of that one.
Yeah. So the TAT's the Trans-American Trail.
Yeah.
Goes right through here. I'll take sections of the TAT over to Alabama sometimes, just to see something different.
Yeah.
I have some desires there for either a TAT run, definitely a SM 500 run. I'd like to do that at some point.
Yeah, it's super fun.
We will cover. I just enjoyed riding motorcycles, and I had a great ride over here today.
Yeah.
And beautiful.
It's freedom, right?
So motorcycles are funny to me because people that don't ride don't get it.
Yeah.
It's inherently dangerous.
Of course.
Obviously.
Yeah. You're exposed.
Yeah. There's no cage around you. There's no seat belts. I think think being a cyclist and having a background as a cyclist makes me a lot more defensive and a lot more aware. But man, you're just immersed in the environment, you know, in a different way.
Yeah.
It
rains, it's cold, it's hot.
It was a cool ride over this morning. I probably could have gone with another layer, but I just enjoyed the cool, shivered to stay warm, and just enjoyed the ride.
Yeah.
But that's something that I certainly. Funny thing about that is I get my love of motorcycles and cars and hot rods and guns and knives from my father. And there's pictures of me on a backpack, in a backpack on his back. No helmet, of course. You know,
why would you wear a helmet?
I'm asleep on the back and riding motorcycles. But
Yes.
my dad's a physical therapist, or was. He's retired now. And so, in life's weird irony, the man that instilled this love of motorcycles in me, and all things fast and loud, really, would never allow me to have one growing up.
Of course.
And, you know, he had treated a lot of people that had been hurt, and he just, I can remember being, like, I remember having like an RM80 poster on my wall, like all I ever wanted was a motorcycle, and I remember telling him when I was probably 10 or 12 years old, just say yes and I'll buy it, like I'll cut yards, do whatever, and he never would. And so I just kind of made a promise to myself when I graduated college. I kind of took the scenic route to do that too. That's a whole other story. I'm either going to hike the Appalachian Trail or buy a motorcycle. Well, I made that promise to myself. But then along that, you know, after I made that promise to myself, a girl got involved, and I wound up getting engaged, and I was engaged my final year in college. But I told my fiance, I was like, look, here's the deal. After we got married in July, we lived in this like shoebox of a house that we were renting. I mean, literally a shoebox. Needed furniture, needed everything. But I told her, like, our prenuptial agreement was, look, here's the deal.
I got a ride.
I'm gonna buy a motorcycle or hike the Appalachian Trail. She was already working as a school teacher. I just finished up college, and
how fun would the Appalachian Trail be on a motorcycle, by the way?
well, some sections would be pretty sporty.
Yeah.
We don't advocate that. That's illegal.
Yeah, never do that. That's frowned upon.
Nor wilderness area. So anyway, she's already working, and I got a job, and I was like, look, I said Appalachian Trail or motorcycle. I don't think Appalachian Trail is really going to be an option. It's 6 months.
Time sucks.
Same amount of money. You're gainfully employed. I've, got job offers. Looks like a motorcycle.
Moto.
And so I think it was like we got married July 11th, and then on September 17th, if I can remember, like 1998, I was happened to go into a motorcycle store, and this bike whispered my name, and so I called her up and was like, this is what's going to happen. So begrudgingly it happened, and I can remember that was like a Saturday. I rode it up to my parents' house on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and my dad walked out, and he just kind of shook his head. He was like, you're not thinking about your family. And I was like, it was just us.
Giving you the guilt trip.
Yeah, he's laying on pretty thick. But then the following weekend, that Saturday, we met up at some property we have up on the mountain, and we rode the bike up. And he walked over, and he's sitting there looking. I know what he wanted to do, but I was gonna make him ask.
Yeah.
And he was like, "How's it ride?" I was like, "It's good, It's just a little Bandit 600, Suzuki Bandit 600, sport standard." But it was an awesome bike by how I was looking at it. And Carrie, my wife, had rode up with me, and he's sitting there eyeballing it. He's like, "How's it ride?" I was like, "It's good." And we're just kind of having this awkward stare down. He's like, "Where's your helmet?" And I was like, It's in the cabin." He's like, He's like, "Well, can I ride it or not?" I didn't think he'd ever asked. So
There it is.
Yeah, he rode it, and he came back with a big smile on his
Of
face.
course.
And he
You
was
can't
like,
not smile.
You can't, yeah. And he was like, "This thing's got a lot of power." And, I was like, "Yeah, it moves on pretty good." Within a year, he had 3 motorcycles. And so he went through a whole series. And
Did you tell him he's not thinking about his family?
I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. My parents are probably one of our along with Dan Lawson. If Dan sees him, you can give him a hard time. But that was funny, and the funny part about that is, you know, I had that motorcycle for a while, and then, you know, soon after we started having kids, and I went through a couple different bikes, and then we got out of bikes, and then in the last year, I was like, it's time.
It's time.
Yeah,
You picked a good one.
yeah, I'm very pleased with it. The BMW GS has served me well.
Well, so listen, nobody knows the dangers of riding motorcycles more than me. Like, I lost my best friend, my papa, when I was probably 20, maybe-ish, to a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And it was devastating. Like, it crushed me. But with that said, like, you know, if I could talk to him right now, he wouldn't try to talk me out of it. You know, he wouldn't try to say, hey, you need to put that thing away and get rid of it. It's just because, and it's always been kind of my motto in life is to, you know, live life to the fullest, embrace the dangers and take on the risks. And I want to encourage my kids. I want to be that inspiration to my kids and the people that watch my videos and all that stuff. I want them to be inspired to do awesome things. You know what I mean? And go out and live life as opposed to being afraid and hiding from the danger. Because if you're always avoiding stuff that might hurt you, you're never going to do anything awesome. Like, you're not going to have the stories to tell the grandkids. And yes, I understand that riding a motorcycle, for example, that's not the only dangerous thing that I do, but it's one of them. It's one of the more dangerous things. I understand that it's inherently dangerous. I get it. But I won't let fear control my decisions and the routes that my life takes. It's not going to happen. I won't do it. And I'm not going to let my kids see that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and part of it, you know, we try to mitigate risk, you know, and I mean, I think about how many days, I'm terrified of heights and confined space. I can't tell you how many days a year I spend on rope dangling over some cliff that is terminal.
It's invigorating.
Yeah, one rope. I'm just held up by this one strand and all this stuff. But the alternative to that is just a boring, unfulfilling life, which has its own terminal characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you stay risk averse and stay in your house all the time, not only will you be boring and probably fat and discontent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to go in a way that's not going to be good for you either.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, I mean, like on a bike, it's when I'm being the most cautious rider is when I crash.
Most alert.
Yeah, it's when I crash.
Yeah.
It's when I cut loose a little bit and I go for it. I commit. No problems.
Well,
yeah.
That's the key word there is commit,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes back to a mindset of if you're doing something in a half-assed kind of way or a half-committed kind of way, it's going to be hard to focus on your task. And if you're truly focused on, like in paddling, I paddled a whitewater kayak for years. And the same is true for motorcycles. You look where you want to go.
That's it.
You go where your eyes point you.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you talk to race cars, you talk to drivers, motorcycle riders, whitewater boaters, if you look at the big gnarly hole that you don't want to go into,
that's where you're going.
Guess where you're going.
You look at that big rock in the trail,
Yeah,
you're hitting it.
You're about to get eaten.
Yeah.
So
I have a hard time with that too.
but you know, it's one of those things where, you know, looking through turns, like that focus and not having divided attention. We always talk about divided attention and how that's a safety issue. In our classes, in our bushcraft classes that we teach, if we're talking, we tell people to put the knives up, because the times that we've had people hurt, they're trying to listen and they're trying to do something with a knife, and normally that's when blood is shed.
I got a huge scar on my leg. Huge scar on my leg from an axe. Same thing. Very focused, chopping away. I'm on my knees with a short-handled axe because that's a safe way to do it. Chopping away. My brother, ironically, says, "Hey, is that axe sharp?" And I go and I look up at him as I strike, and I'm saying, "Yeah." And it glances off and whacks me right above the knee and just laid me open.
So that's one of the things, and that's also, I think, you know, doing those activities that require you to filter out stimulus that helps you work on your focus and
laser beam
mental
focus,
acuity. willfully,
Yeah.
like we're putting ourselves in this position to ride and do
Yeah.
those things. But when the excrement hits the fan, because you've had those mental checks in place or that mental preparation, you have the ability to filter out the noise, the panic, the other stuff, and have that laser like focus on, and it's clarifying as far as, okay, this is the task at hand. This is what we have to do. Let's focus on that. So to the guy that is used to sitting in the lazy boy watching CNN, Fox, or whatever else, and just like eating the environment or letting the environment eat him, they may not perform the same way if they don't have that background in mental acuity.
Listen, I think riding off-road motorcycles does that more than anything else that I've done before, because you've got to be laser beam focused. If you take just for a split second, if you take a look at the view around you, you're done. Like it's going to be over. A funny story, I was into riding motorcycles a lot, off-road especially, and a traffic incident happened, right? I was on the highway. I was on a 6-lane highway, something like that, and there's a grass median in between. Truck in front of me slammed on the brakes. I think they might even have tapped the car in front of them, and I couldn't avoid it. So I just went off into the median and was just sliding left. I never took my foot off the gas, like never did, and I thought it was a blast. Like it was so much fun. I passed those cars, got back on the highway, and I was like, no big deal. This is like I'm used to this kind of activity. Like that's normal. And my heart rate didn't even get accelerated.
Right, so after, like
maybe afterwards. But it's like it was just another thing. Like I think, and if you don't do exciting, adventurous, dangerous type things, that oh crap moment comes and you might freak out. Yeah.
Well, it's how do you handle the adrenaline dump?
Yeah.
If you're not used to performing in those high pressure situations, then it's a little harder. It's a little harder to. Not everybody responds.
Yeah.
I mean,
but we used to do a lot of testing. That was part of my job when I worked for the Navy, was performance testing, right? And we'd hook guys up to heart rate monitors and such, and we would monitor how it was affected by different stimuli, right? Whether it be physical exertion or emotional exertion, right? And the guys that could maintain a lower, relative to their max heart rate,
well below the threshold.
Yeah, the guys that could maintain that, regardless of the situation, performed better. They made better decisions. They reacted quicker. The guys that had a jacked up, they're stacked on a door, they're getting ready to go in, right? Heart rate's jacked up. You know that this guy's, he might do something squirrely.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was and that goes back to why being physically fit is such a big deal, because the more physically fit you are, even under emotional stresses, your heart rate most likely will be a little bit lower because it can handle that stress a little bit more. So
well, and that's I always kind of look at like our body's kind of like a computer where the CPU is your brain, and if your CPU is processing the fact that I'm out of breath and I'm breathing hard and my legs are burning just because I'm walking up a flight of steps, then you're clouding your judgment and you're taking up mental resources there.
Yeah.
Because you're having to deal with the stress of something that you're unfamiliar with. You take that same situation and you flip it to where I run, 200 or 100 flights of steps a day on the stair climber, or I'm a runner, or I'm physically fit in a way that frees up that CPU to handle whatever stimulus comes at it on the other side of that door, on the other side of that accident, or where you have to react. And
agreed.
It just lowers the mental overhead whenever you're physically fit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in, say, our field survival class, you don't have to be the fittest person there, but you don't want to be the most unfit person there.
That's right.
Right? So,
because it's gonna suck.
It's gonna suck either way. I
mean,
there is ample suck to go around for everyone there. But if you are the person that shows up in the worst shape, and you're consistently dead last, and you're like now what you're feeling is you're feeling the pressure of being
last.
DFL.
Yeah.
You're feeling the
Trying to keep
pressure
up.
of keeping up. So now what you're doing is, oh crap, I'm behind, I'm holding these guys back. You're going to turn yourself inside out, which is going to induce more physical stress.
Yeah.
You're putting pressure on yourself, and it's easy to see that. I mean, you can almost see the switch get flipped when those people start to consider quitting.
Yeah.
and I'm slow, and it always starts in a way that's very. I'm thinking about my team.
I'm holding everybody back.
I'm holding everybody back. It starts with guilt, and it starts.
Which is a real thing. I mean, that's real. Yeah.
It truly is.
Yeah.
But trust me, your team doesn't care if you're last because they're getting a break.
They're like, thank you so much.
Take your time.
Don't rush.
Normally, what you see is people, like they're fine with that.
Yeah.
Because they're getting a break.
Yeah.
The problem is the slowest unfit guy never gets a break.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they rejoin the team,
it's time to go.
The next evolution.
Everybody's like, oh, all right, here we go.
Here we go. He's like, I just got you.
Yeah, I know. I think. So I have mixed emotions about exercise, right? So I don't necessarily enjoy, like we talked about, type 2 fun, right? I don't necessarily enjoy the training. I don't like lifting weights. I don't like running miles. It's not fun to me, right? I know that I need to do it because, well, one, I'm addicted to the performance. I want to constantly be able to do the things. Like if you ask me to go do X, whatever it is right now, you invited me to go do that, I'm confident I could probably keep up.
You want to be operationally fit to go do whatever needs to be done.
Whatever, for life. You know what I mean? Life fit. That's my goal. I'm not training for anything in specific, for whatever. I just want to be able to do stuff, capable of doing it without hurting myself, without holding you up, like that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my goal. And I don't enjoy the training so much, but I reap the rewards of it, and that is what motivates me to keep doing it. I'm not motivated to work out most of the time. I'm not like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm pumped. I'm excited.
I hate working out.
That's not fun to me.
Going to the gym.
Yeah, I don't want, like, I work out at 7 a.m. usually, 6:45, 7 a.m. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I exercise, and I don't, look forward to. I'd rather sleep in. You know what I mean? I'd rather have a nice breakfast, kick my feet up, drink some coffee, and just let that go.
Ease into the day.
Wouldn't that be nice? But I don't, and I never regret it. And after the workout's over, I have never once said, I wish I would have slept in. I wish I would have just, had another cup of coffee and skipped that. I've never done that. Not once.
So let's talk about, this is a term I use a lot, is operationally fit.
Yeah.
Or function.
Me too, same thing,
For
same
me,
wordage.
Yeah, functionally fit.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer functional strength over gym muscle.
Sure.
I would much rather than being bulky, be fit, be strong for my weight.
Pound for pound kind of deal?
Yeah. So let's go over some tenets that you find to be super important in that.
Like how to get there?
Well, I'll ask you a direct question because I think a lot of people overlook this. Where does flexibility fall into performance?
Yeah, so flexibility, mobility, kind of the same interchangeable words, I would say. In life, you can either do it or you can't do it, right? There's no gray area. Right. I can or I can't. That's it. And if flexibility is hindering you from doing that task, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Squatting all the way down to the ground because I've got to get myself up underneath this log to lift it up off of the guy that's dying on the ground, whatever it is. If I can't physically do that, it doesn't matter how strong I am. If I can't get myself into that position to do it, I'm useless, right? So all of these elements of fitness is not, I think a lot of people, when they hear the word fitness, they think running or cardiovascular fit, or whatever. Yeah, to me, fitness is not that. Fitness is all encompassing. I need to be strong. I need to be fast. I need to be able to run a long ways without stopping. I need to be mobile and flexible. That is fitness. And if one of those links in your chain is broken, right? Then you're not,
or deficient, or not focused on it.
Yeah. Then your fitness is lacking, right? Your overall image of fitness is lacking.
Right. So how old are you, Jason?
37.
Okay, so you said there's no gray area. I'm gonna introduce you to a gray area.
Talk to me.
I have found.
It's not the hairs on your head.
No, yeah, I have plenty of those too. I've spent, like you, much of my life being an athlete, doing dumb stuff. And something that you develop is this mind-body connection where whether it be paddling a kayak or riding a mountain bike, I've always had the ability to look at something and say, I can do that. Until about 47. And then this is the gray area that's also the cruelest of fates that I have found. I've always been able to do a kip up, you know, where you just lay on your back, keep your land on your feet, boom, no problem. Standing back tuck, no problem. Always been able to do it. Until this weekend. I tried, like my son did a kick up. I was like, I want to try that. It's been a while.
I still got it.
I can't do it. I can't do it. This is the gray area that's just my own personal hell right now that I'm having it's my so my mind body connection has always been my buffer for safety.
Yeah.
And I would look at something and say, I can do that. And if I ever had, whether it be running a class 5 rapid or whatever else, I look at it. I have this connection. I can look at it, feel good about it. I see the line. I can hit that line. My mind is lying to me. Actually,
the mind is willing. The body is not doing it.
Yeah. And so my own special hell right now is that I've come off the pipe about half a step, but half a step is just enough to wind me, like to land me on my face.
Yeah. And
so I am having to recalibrate my margin of error and think, oh, I can do that. And then, you know, you go to hop up on this rock and you come up, you know, like 3 inches short, and so you toe kick the rock and wind up, you know, just flat facing.
Well, when I say there's no gray area, what I mean is you can do it or you can't do it, right? And as we get older, I'm the same way. I'm 37 and I'm feeling it. Like I definitely am not the same as I was when I was 27. This not a thing. But we have to recalibrate.
Oh yeah.
We have to recalibrate the cans and the can'ts. So I may have used to be able to do, you know, repeat 6-minute miles. I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so but there's still no gray area. I can or I can't. That's it.
Yeah, well, I'm having to. I guess I'm having to control alt delete and reboot myself a little bit because I'm getting the blue screen of death here because I'm looking at that in my mind saying we can do that, and then we go try it and you're like, hey, guess what? We can't.
Yeah, but I think too many people. I've heard a lot of excuses. A lot. Everything under the sun. It's usually I don't have time, or I'm too old, or I've got an injury, or whatever. Those are the kind of the 3 common ones that I hear a lot.
I use all those.
Yeah. I mean, but you look at all 3 of those, and those are just excuses because everybody's got some sort of injury. I mean, I understand if you're a paraplegic in a wheelchair. I mean, I get there's exceptions. If you've got a life-altering back injury that's definitely hindered you, totally understand. But the majority of people have very few excuses to better themselves physically. It's just an excuse. That's all it is.
And something I find is as I've gotten older, is the injuries that I have accumulated in the last 10 years are far more related to lack of flexibility than anything. And so the importance of maintaining flexibility and fast twitch muscles, explosive movement, to be able to jump up on something or to move my body weight around in a way. But the flexibility issue is something that I continue to try to focus on, to stretch more, to make it a point to.
I've messed around with a lot of that stuff, obviously, because it's what I did for a living for a long time. By far the most beneficial thing to improve mobility, whether you want to call it flexibility or whatever, I always call it mobility, is doing your exercises, your training regimen to full ranges of motion. There's lots of debate on that, and I get it. I've heard all the arguments of don't do deep squats all the way down past 90 degrees because it's bad for your knee. Whatever. I don't care. I've trained thousands of athletes, literally, on full range of motion, bottom squats, whether they be professionals in some shape or form or they were, you know, elite athletes. And I've had very few knee issues from that. They've had knee issues from their sport or whatever, but what you're doing is I'm always trying to kill more than one bird with a stone. That's my goal. So when any exercise that I do, any workout regimen that I'm designing for myself or somebody else, I'm always trying to accomplish a lot in a single workout, right? I'm always trying to improve my mobility. I'm always trying to get a little faster, stronger. I'm always trying to gain more endurance in some form or fashion. And if I can accomplish all that into a single workout, I'm not saying all workouts are all encompassing, some are specific, but as a general rule, if I can do that, I'm being much more efficient with my time. Because we're always limited on time,
yeah,
right?
I can't stand going to the gym and having people prop up on machines and having to wait. I've always been the guy that's doing what the old term was circuit training.
Yep.
I'm always
Absolutely.
working complementary muscle.
Heart rate's elevated for an
Yeah,
extended period of
yeah.
time, which is the definition of cardio.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You're not running. You don't have to be running. You don't have to be doing Stairmaster or whatever. Your heart rate is elevated for an extended period of time, which is cardiovascular exercise.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So let's switch gears a little bit. I know that you have, I believe it's your first collaboration knife with Bear Forest Knives. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah, that's it right there. This is called the On 3 EDC. It is made by Garrett out there in Southern California.
He makes some really good stuff. Really cool dude.
Yes. So great about Garrett is the greatest thing about Garrett was I proposed to him one day and I said, hey, I've got an idea for a knife that I'd like to design and promote. And so I sent him a picture, just a hand drawn picture of this knife, and he had the blade cut out of a piece of steel that day, right? And I've worked with other knife makers and other guys that have wanted to make knives, and they've been kind of unreliable and not very professional. And Garrett was that day had the blade cut out and had it in, I think I had it in my hand in less than a week from Southern California. I had the actual knife in my hand, the prototype, and so we went back and forth and dialed it in. Got I think what I think is the perfect everyday carry fixed blade knife. That's in my personal humble opinion, and I'm a guy that carries a knife every single day, and you use it for all sorts of randomness. I mean, from prying open paint cans to...
I know, it made me cringe.
Yeah, I saw that. I was doing that just to prove a point. So, I use my tools, I abuse my tools, I don't maintain them the way that I should, I don't like things that have to be babied and taken care of. I want something that I can, beat the crap out of it and it just keeps on working.
Keeps coming back for more.
That's it, yeah.
So I'm a sucker for small knives.
Yeah,
and,
me too.
And it just seems like something I've noticed in our classes is a lot of people that are new show up with massive knives, and as their skill level goes up, the knives get smaller and thinner. So you're talking about, what is that, 2.5 inch?
2 3/4.
What's the overall length?
Shoot, I should know this. It's 3 3/4 handle, 2 3/4.
So a little over 5 inches.
Yeah.
It's a small knife.
Yep.
It's a small knife,
It's-
which I like.
Yeah, my goal was to have something big enough to do 99% of knife things, but small enough where you just don't even notice it.
99% of knife things normally only involves about a 1/2 inch of sharpened blade.
About that little part next to the handle, or this little part right next to the tip. Yeah.
So
The rest of it's useless most of the time. Yeah.
I see these guys that are carrying fives and all. God bless them. We appreciate
Yeah.
it. I mean, that's how we pay.
They're
our
good
bills.
knife, yeah.
But at the same time, I can do. I much prefer a small knife just for general use.
Well, it goes back to what's the best survival knife? It's the one you got.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be like, hold on a second, zombie apocalypse. Let me go get my Rambo.
Back to the house.
Yeah,
I got all that stuff.
let me go get my survival knife because I need it now. You've got the pocket knife that you have or whatever. So that's the idea.
So, in moving towards this gear and stuff, I'd be curious to know, what do you consider essential gear? What on your adventures and the stuff you do? What is essential gear for you?
Oh yeah, so my packs change a lot. So depending on the season, wintertime, stuff like
Mission
that.
specific.
Yeah, packs change a ton. But whether I'm on the motorcycle or I'm hiking or camping or hunting or whatever it is, packs change a lot. But the core of the kit is always the same. I've got a way to get water, right? Clean, potable water. So whether that means I'm filtering it or boiling it, or just I know that I'm going to a place where I can collect it.
Right.
Always some sort of container, Grail water filter or something like that, metal container. So I've always got that. I've always got some sort of cutting tool. Always, whether that's my Multitool or my custom EDC here. some sort of cordage.
We sell knives,
Mm-hmm.
but Jeff Randall carries daily
A Air Force knife.
no, Jeff carries a Leatherman.
A Leatherman, yeah.
A skeletal.
Yeah.
And there's on these stuff that that's something that goes with me on everything we do. Like you can't gloss over the importance of a multi-tool.
Yeah, I have one in my pocket right now because it's just too handy
Right.
to not carry. I mean, it's got the pliers, the screwdrivers, it's got all the stuff that you need for just life. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not always out there bushcrafting. I'm
Right, exactly.
fixing stuff.
In fact, I'm almost never bushcrafting.
Right.
Unless I'm at a bushcraft.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm fixing things and working on a tractor or something, whatever. So it's too handy not to carry. I'd like to not. I like the idea of just carrying a knife, just only this. But this doesn't do what the multi-tool does.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, always some really reliable way to start a fire. It's usually a Bic lighter and an Exotex fire sleeve. I've always got that in my pocket.
And then a backup Bic lighter.
And a backup Bic lighter because ferro rods are great, but it's not as reliable. It's not as easy to start a fire with a ferro rod as it is with a lighter. Everybody, I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to, sexier, it's prettier, does better Instagram photos of striking that ferro rod and big sparks and bird's nest. But I can skip the bird nest phase if I've got a lighter.
Right.
I don't have to go find tinder and you know what I mean.
Well, we teach a lot of primitive skills, and I think I saw you did an Instagram post the other day where you talked about primitive skills, and our take on primitive skills is, I think where most people screw up on fire is lack of preparation.
Yeah.
They do really, really poor preparation on the fire, and then what happens? They burn through one set of tinder, fire goes out. They can't do it.
You got to start over.
You can't shortcut with a ferro rod. And the time to practice a ferro rod is in your backyard.
Yeah.
Challenge yourself with a ferro rod. Make that, but that's not going to be my go-to.
No.
I'm carrying whatever I have to carry. If I need a fire, I need a fire. But at least I have the background, the experience to know what I can get by with if I needed it in an emergent situation.
Yeah. Ferro rod is reliable. That's its saving graces. It's reliable. It will always spark, and it will last a long time. Other than that,
yeah. In theory, we've had a couple ferro rods as of late. I think with this global pandemic, it's caused a lot of QC issues for a lot of folks.
Poor quality. Yeah.
And we've had a couple. The ferro rods worked kind of. We had one pull out. It's a Light My Fire. It's one we recommend a bunch, and we've had a couple. In fact, both of my sons on the field survival class had
the handle come off.
The striker broke through. The metal part broke through the little tab that you use, and then on the other one, the rod itself wasn't epoxied into the mount. So what you wind up is just a short
tiny
rod.
little ferro rod.
Yeah, it pulled out of what you hold on to.
Yeah.
The plastic thing. So it proved to be a challenge after that.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Any other gear?
Yeah, so let's see. I've always got some way to start a fire. I always carry a tourniquet now.
I noticed on the front of your motorcycle.
Yeah, so I've always got a tourniquet because I've been really working on some medical skills as of late because I've been lacking in that area. So I've been really diving into what to do when things go real wrong. Because if someone that's really close to me was to die because of a preventable thing, which massive hemorrhage is the #1 preventable cause of death. If there's something I could carry on me that would solve that problem really, really quickly, and I didn't do it because I just didn't feel like it, I don't think I could forgive myself.
Well, that's part of getting a little altitude over your skill set and being honest with who you are and doing that skill audit.
Yeah.
And then saying, man, I'm weak right here. I need to do some work.
Yeah, med skills is something I'm definitely lacking on. I'm getting better. I mean, I can take care of some issues now pretty confidently. Luckily, I haven't had to test. I haven't tested that in the field. I haven't had to put a tourniquet on somebody for real. But I'm pretty confident I could do it and potentially save a life because of a little bit of practice, a little bit of skill, and having
I noticed you had a Cat T in a med kit on your number plate, and then I have one positioned real prominently on my bike as well, so I got quick access to it. Yeah,
that's a thing. You crash into a barbed wire fence or something, man, that'll wreck you.
Yeah.
That'll mess you up. So whether it be on yourself or you've got a buddy that you're riding with, you need to help out.
And that's something I think everybody in your group should carry and be at least somewhat familiar with. Um,
Yeah.
So moving from that gear, any other gear?
Yeah, I mean, I always have a poncho. I pretty much always have a poncho. If I have a pack, you guarantee that there's a poncho in there. I think they're too versatile not to carry. I'll use it as my primary shelter. I'll use it for other stuff, you know. Cover my motorcycle when I perhaps might be camping in a place that might be frowned upon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
orange motorcycle kind of stands out.
Yeah, so I have maybe done that once or twice where I've concealed my bike. So it's just too handy not to have, and it's just so versatile that I'm a big proponent of a poncho. So that's always with me. So
I carry a tarp. It's nice to be able to pull up someplace. You're doing trips and doing things. You certainly don't want to lose gear.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, I use it as a place to spread out and spread my
Yeah.
gear on it. So,
Organize your crap.
So
Yeah.
if I drop it, the ground doesn't eat it.
Yeah.
You know, our experience in the jungle is that, like we came out with some of our venom green knives and the orange handles and all that stuff, not because of the zombie apocalypse, which was actually timed a bit. I mean, sadly, it was timed about the same time. It's not that we're buying into the zombie apocalypse; is that we know that the jungle eats things.
Yeah.
So and around here, I'm looking out your.
It's a
window.
jungle.
It's we're in a jungle very much here in North
It's
Georgia.
almost a rainforest.
Yeah.
It's just like a half an inch shy of being a rainforest
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
So the ground literally eats gear, and if you drop it, it just disappears.
That's why we put a small piece of orange lanyard on the back of the knife here, is because so if you drop it, there it is.
I use orange bunch, and,
Yeah.
orange, neon green, and then also I think the color of our carabiners is royal blue, because you don't see that in the
There's one around here somewhere.
yeah, you don't see that in nature, so that royal blue really sticks
Stands
out
out.
in a lot of different environments.
Yep.
So switching gears from gear, what do you consider essential skills?
Essential skills. Wilderness setting, or just in general, in life? Oh man, there's so many.
Yeah.
Just being a man, I think, requires you to have a set of skills. To be what I would consider a real man, you need to be able to solve problems, and that means you need to be at least a little bit mechanically inclined. And you don't get mechanically inclined without getting your hands greasy.
Taking stuff apart.
That's it. And I'm not great at that. Like, I'm not a good mechanic. I'm not good at it at all. I don't enjoy it, for one, which means that I avoid it if possible. But I'm building a big diesel truck now.
I noticed. I was following some of the work you're building. Vegetable oil truck.
Yeah, veggie truck. So yeah, it's going to be converted. It'll run on diesel, obviously, but it can also have a special tank.
Down the road, smell like French fries.
It'll smell like French fries. Make people hungry going down the road. But so I'm working on that. I'm learning skills from a good buddy that's a really, really talented diesel mechanic. So I'm learning how to wrench on stuff, how to fix things when they go wrong, and that's what being a man is: fixing problems, problem solving. That's it.
If that's the one thing I could really try to impart to my sons is, and they're both this way. Both of my sons have turned out to be fairly mechanically inclined. Is I grew up like nothing left my house as a child that didn't get this. Like if it was going in the garbage, it got disassembled.
Let's see what's in that.
I probably couldn't get it back together.
Of course not.
But and that kind of set me on my journey as a bike mechanic. I think I took apart and repacked a Bendix brake hub at like 11.
Yeah.
But having a plan of attack on how to take this thing apart.
Yeah.
And and like I use my phone now. If I'm diving into something new, I'm taking pictures so I can reference how.
So
things
handy.
Are,
I do the same thing, so I can put it back.
And so being able to like fix your washing, like let's try this.
Whatever. Yeah. Just being handy. Don't just give up when something goes wrong, and call for help. Figure it out. Like, none of it's rocket science, unless it's rocket science, I guess. But everything is doable.
YouTube has gotten to be, when I started the bike shop back in 2007, the internet was still maybe not an infant, but a toddler.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could look up exploded diagrams and certain things. And by the end of the shop in 2016, there's nothing I couldn't find on YouTube.
Always a video on it.
And so I could go on YouTube and figure out how to take apart a Chris King hub and put it back together. And I had all the tools, but I did it so infrequently. There was one particular video that I went to that I would go through and just like jog my memory of the steps, because it's a specific set of tools and you have to do it a specific way and you got to get it back together.
Yeah.
So YouTube has become not just a cesspool, but also a really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's a great learning tool for me.
It absolutely is. I mean, it's like if you want to learn how to do anything, it's out there.
It's out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to vet the people that you're watching too.
But with that said, I think it's also super important to not immediately go to that source. I think it's really important to try to figure it out on your own, at least for a little while, to try to solve it and solve the problem and get your brain to work as opposed to Googling it. You know what I mean? Like,
is all you do, if all you do is watch the video and repeat the steps, I don't think you have the same retention.
Yeah.
As far as what you did.
Yeah.
So that's that to me, I agree with you on that. It's like let's noodle through this, and that's one of the things my boys and I, we love to ride motorcycles together, but I get a lot out of wrenching on them too, with them, working on them, maintaining them, that kind of thing. If you aspire to do adventure riding or some other things, it's good to know whatever your mechanical beast
you're gonna have to work on it.
That you have there, whether it be to change tires or to improvise and to figure out ways to get a jacket out of a rear sprocket and a counter sprocket, or how to fix a tire.
Yeah.
In those things.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Essential gear, essential skills. I'm running through my notes here. Future plans. What other projects you got in the works? What's going on with you?
Yeah. A lot of stuff, man. Constantly busy doing something, whether it be making YouTube videos or whatever. I produce content for a channel called Survivopedia now.
Okay.
Fairly new channel. Not a lot of followers yet, but it's happening slowly but surely. And I think
Rick Stowe is doing something with those guys.
Yes, sir.
I think Ruben is now too.
Ruben is as well. I don't think he does videos, but I think he just does articles and some stuff like that. But yeah, so working on that, producing content quite a bit for them, a little bit on my own channel as much as I can fit in there. And then I have recently, on the other side of my creek, I have built a pole barn, and I want to start doing some experiences. So
sweet.
Yeah, so I wouldn't call them classes, but I want to call them experiences. So survival related skills, basic knowledge.
You've got a great place here for it.
Yeah, I've got the space, I've got the woods, I've got the creek, I've got everything that you need to make something like that happen. So pretty soon that's going to happen.
I think there is certainly we do our fair share of classes. There's certainly a market for that, and this area's a little more attractive to me than Gallup, Alabama.
Yeah.
But we get it done and have for a long time there at Randall Adventure and Training. But whenever that happens, let me know. We'll be sure to share that link out.
Yeah, definitely.
Questions for us? Anything?
Oh man.
Anything we didn't cover that you wanted to?
Yeah. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but what is your involvement with ESEE and Randall's Adventure? Like, what do you do? What's your thing?
Man, that's always hard to quantify. So my title is marketing director, and then I added the / utility player. So I obviously handle all the social media, which is considerably less now than Instagram is still not giving us our account back. The ESEE Knives account. We have our ESEE Rat Pack podcast and my personal page and Facebook, and basically I do whatever needs to be done that Jeff, Mike, Patrick doesn't want to do. I have a background in education and teaching, but I'm not a content expert like those guys. I'm a jack of all trades. I've got, fairly like you, a pretty eclectic set of experiences. And so out of respect for our instructors, I don't really consider myself an instructor because I'm not a content expert. But what I do find is I'm often helping in the classroom. Not everybody learns the same way. And so I try to find those people that may not be getting it, that just need like a different
angle of attack.
I do a little bit of stuff with our international sales where I manage those accounts. I'm not a good salesman. I don't sell. I testify more than anything. So I do some dealer relations as far as like just checking in on dealers, make sure
With the knives.
with knives. Mostly, I've been on an apology tour for the last 2 years because this COVID stuff is real. You know, that we hear.
The supply chain shortages.
Man, it's just it's everything.
Disaster.
It's everything all at once, all at different times, all the same day sometimes. So, we have seen demand shoot through the roof for our product, which we're grateful for. But we also time that with the real life problems of supply chain,
Yeah.
and other stuff. And so I've been on an apology tour to our customers and to our dealers as far as, hey, look, we've never, I can tell you this, the Rowan manufacturing there in Idaho, they have never made more knives than we're making right now. And we've never been more behind.
Yeah. Demand is high, supply is low.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then you add the challenges of it's hard to find labor.
Yeah.
It's hard to, there's certainly interruptions in the supply chain, and you know, we bring as much in-house. We do our own leather work, we do our own Kydex work, we make our own hardware. Our hardware is custom to us, so we don't have to go and outsource that. But guess what we do have to do? We have to get the raw material.
Gotta get materials.
To make it, you know.
And that's hard to find.
We went for 8 months without 1/4 inch steel. 1/4 inch steel is what our ESEE 5 is.
Yeah.
It's what our cleaver is. It's what our tomahawk, the Gibson axe is. We have great relationships. We've been using the same vendors for 20+ years, you know, and so we're one of those companies that's fairly loyal to our people that are loyal to us. We've had great relationships. Those relationships have helped us during this time of COVID with challenging and manufacturing issues. But even with, you know, a few aces in the holes right there to play, we've still had numerous delays and issues with raw material.
Yeah, I think it's frustrating for everybody, but I think, at least I hope, I think most people are at least a little bit tolerant of that now, because it's everything. You know what I mean? It's everything is tires.
It is.
are hard to find.
Yeah, the motorcycle
Yeah,
tires, man.
it's impossible to find them. Man.
I see people have been,
Yeah,
but I think as we approach normal in society, now that we're not wearing masks everywhere
yeah.
and all that stuff, I think there's an expectation that we're back.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the ripple effect on this supply chain, I know in the cycling industry, it's affecting them all the way out to 2025 models.
Yeah.
With vehicles and chips and all that stuff, it's way out there too. So I think it's going to be, over the course, it's going to take us a couple years to unwind all this. Not just us as a factory or a company. I think it's going to take our society a number of years to unwind what's been done.
Yeah.
And so we're working hard to do that, but man, it's certainly been a challenge.
Yeah. But next question for you is, what draws you to do adventurous type things? Like what motivates you in the morning to head out and do awesome things? Philosophical question for you.
I was born this way. You know, I think we fight a couple different, I personally know that I fight a couple different natures, you know, a couple different natures as far as obligation versus importance, urgent versus important. I had a college professor that I thought was cool. Was he had a whiteboard that was drawn, that was just split down the middle, and on one side it says urgent, and on the other side it said important. And urgent was essentially his to-do list. Important was his core values, family, like the real priority things. And what I thought was interesting is that the important side on this whiteboard was written in permanent marker, and the urgent side
Always evolving.
always dry erase.
Yeah.
I feel like, me personally, we've all been playing whack-a-mole. I mean, we're literally, I don't want to use this term PTSD, but we're a little jumpy because we have been solving problems daily. And so, if I'm being very frank, I feel like the urgent has probably overshadowed my importance a little bit as far as the things that are important. We've been on the go, classes, and so I've been grateful to have a little bit of a break so I can refocus on what's important, spending time with my wife, spending time with my kids.
That's funny.
And then that desire for adventure, I mean, like you, I think we're fortunate in the sense that I'm doing air quotes like you can see me, our jobs.
I'm working.
All my buddies, anytime they say James working, they always do the air quote thing.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate in that my job is a lot of adventure.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't say I take it for granted because I'm very grateful for it, but it's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So looking for those spots, I think for me, something that I'm getting that's helping me a lot is my sons are some of my best friends. My sons are 21 and 19. All I wanted for Father's Day was a long motorcycle ride.
Yeah.
So we just had like a killer motorcycle ride, went to the Wheels Through Time Museum in Maggie Valley. I think we rode like almost 450 miles.
That's awesome. That's a long ways.
And so we have cardos and we're listening to each other. You can hear the rooster in the background.
Yeah, sorry about that.
He's telling us we're going over.
Yeah.
We're going long, but I'm good with it. We rode to Maggie Valley through like just this. I'm not telling people the roads because I want you to stay off of them. Which is like
terrible ride. It was unpleasant. You don't want to go there.
Find your own way. Wheels Through Time Museum is an awesome place, and so to get to experience this museum of turn of the century motorcycles and all that stuff, to see it through their eyes, and then to go through this last field survival and see my sons go through it, I am experiencing so much joy through seeing them explore their own capabilities.
Yeah.
And have these, we were riding on the Blue Ridge Parkway and my sons were just like, we're sitting there talking. We talk more on the motorcycle than we do anything because we've got the comms units. They're like, this is almost like being out west, this is awesome. We need to come up here all the time. He's like, done, we're gonna start doing that. So I think adventure is something that's in some of us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think adventure is better when it's shared.
Yeah.
And so if I'm being honest, I'm parasitic right now, in that I am finding great joy in seeing my sons begin to push themselves and experience their own adventure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we have a lot in common. My priorities have been in the past very out of whack.
Yeah. It's
work,
easy for us to do.
Yeah, work stuff gets pushed towards the top, and suddenly I'm not putting any time into what really matters. Yeah. I'm not spending time with my wife. I'm not teaching my kids the life skills that I want them to learn.
Or just present.
Just being with them. Yeah. So I've really been working on prioritizing my life, trying to put God first, put my wife second, my kids, and then everything else falls after that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And since I've been doing that, like for example, every Friday is date night with my wife. I've reserved 6 p.m. till whatever time is date night, and it's in my phone. Literally, if you look at my calendar on my phone, it's that way for the rest of my life. So I've prioritized and making sure I'm setting time aside for her, to make sure that she feels loved and feels special, because if I don't give her that time, everything else is going to fall apart and be worrisome at best. So yeah, I've got my life kind of figured out, and like you said, I'm very fortunate because what I do for a living, at least half time, is it feeds that adventure machine. It scratches that hard to reach itch.
Yeah.
That I've always got that itch. Always scratching. I can't quite reach it until I go on some awesome adventure, and then I can relax for a bit.
Well, I'm craving something big. I always say something dumb.
Yeah.
Like I'm craving something dumb
Yeah.
to where, and I don't know what that is yet. It hasn't quite been illuminated yet.
Yeah. I can usually scratch the itch with mini adventures. You know what I mean? And every like once a year or so, I'd like to do big ones. But mini adventures, I try to fill those.
I get those a lot with work.
Yeah.
But it's work still.
Sure.
You know, and we're attending others.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And
You're
so
on duty.
I am. I've got something. I've got a few things in the back of my mind. It's just carving out that time. And,
Yeah.
And,
The time
the
is the
money,
part.
and some of it requires gas and other stuff. You're like, let's see how things go.
Yeah.
But at some point, you just got to pull the ripcord too and just go do it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to try to do that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
What's your favorite piece of gear? That's an easy one. Like, so if the house is on fire, you can only have one thing the rest of your life. What would you get?
Gear.
Yeah, one piece. You get one thing. House is burning.
House is burning.
Big flames.
In truth, I'm probably gonna grab my Glock 19X as I go out the door. It's easy to carry, and I can still have a free hand.
It's close by.
Yeah, it's normally close by.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, if I got, man, the whole house can burn, and as long as I got my family out, I'm
Yeah.
good. If I can get to the garage and wheel the motorcycles out, they're getting out.
That's first thing.
I have a wooden drift boat in the garage right now too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, I'll just send it flying down the driveway. I don't know, man. As I've gotten older, and as I've been immersed in training so much, gear has slowly begun to lose its luster.
Yeah, me too.
And like we say, getting older and focusing on the importance of things. There's literally nothing in my house I care about as much as I care about my family and my dog.
Yeah.
Everything else can burn.
Let it all burn.
Yeah.
I'll find another sharp,
Yeah.
pokey thing.
I've got my love for guns and knives started with family heirlooms.
Yeah.
And so I've got some guns that are really important to me that hold, you know, not much value on the market,
Yeah.
but they hold tremendous value to me based on family. I mean,
Sure.
generational gun. I mean, you're talking about 3-4 generations.
Yeah.
You know, that I would love. That's part of our legacy as a family. So. But yeah, I don't know, man. Gear is not super important to me. It all can burn. But
I feel the same way.
yeah.
I'm not a gear guy. Like, I don't do a lot of gear reviews, and I'm not going to tell you how much something weighs, and
Yeah.
you know, like I just don't care. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
It works. I just want
It
to work.
it works or it doesn't work. You know,
Yeah.
It's back to the gray area. There's no gray area.
Yeah.
Either it does the thing or it doesn't do the thing. I mean, I can appreciate a high quality piece of equipment.
At 100%.
And if you're gonna get equipment, make sure it's really high quality, something or other.
Get the best you can afford.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, a sharp rock will do everything that an SE will do. But just maybe not as efficiently as fast, but it'll do it.
I know, because of how sharp the rock is.
That's true. Around here, the rocks suck. but you get what I'm saying. You can usually improvise and figure out a way to make things happen, as long as you got the right mindset, I think.
100%. Well, Jason, recap your places where you can find you again.
Jason Lee's Survival on the Instagram. I think I'm just Jason Salyer on Facebook, but I'm rarely on there, so good luck with that. But primarily I do YouTube, and you will find my videos at On3, ONTHREE, and Survivopedia.
Awesome. Man, I'm thrilled that you let me come over and hang out today. I love your place here, and we'll definitely do this again. And maybe a motorcycle video of us sitting down talking or something at some point.
After we finished a big ride.
Yeah, even better.
That would be even
Maybe do the video while we're on the ride.
We could talk through the cardos.
Yeah, sweet. All right. Hey, this is the ESEE Rack Pack podcast. Thanks to our 14 followers. Y'all be sure to like, share, do all the stuff. Y'all take care. Boom.
Nailed it.
Dude, awesome job.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Nice piece of cake.
It's
Easy-
a nice,
easy conversation.
conversation. That's all I ever want.
Yeah.